Okay, so for the music lesson, sorry about that, got bumped out. So we're on the music lesson, and this is episode 5. Here we go. So far I've shown you about the key of C. So here's a C, just look for the left of the 2 black keys. Hear how they match in sound. And then I've taught you a little bit about the key of C, which is like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. C is the only key. Key is a word that means this physical key, but it's also a word that means a collection of notes. So I've had people tell me that that's confusing to them. It just is confusing. So we're going to not worry too much about that. And for today, I'm just doing a very brief review of what has already been discussed, just the basics of what's been discussed. If you really want to hear more about them, go back. The old episodes are all on YouTube. So this is a chord. In the key of C, we just use white keys. It's easy to organize because you literally just move your hand. And so those are chords in the key of C. So, okay, just looking at some things, sorry. Getting distracted by all the little knobs down at the bottom. For some reason today, it's very strange. It looks like, I'm gonna close that. Oops. Ah, I lost it. Somehow I am not even on Facebook anymore. What is happening? There we go. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, so what we're going to work on today, in the past shows, I've shown you like how you can do what's called a chord progression. And a chord progression is just picking an order that you want to play the chords in. I've also shown you if you do like the same amount of counts for each spot, that sounds nice. So I'm doing 4 chords on each spot. But now I'm going to show you a new thing today. So the new thing today is this concept, which maybe I should flip it to make sure you don't... Oh, whoops, that's my face. Oh yeah, it was flipped. Okay, wow. Technical difficulties today. I've had so many technical difficulties already. So this, oh, not that. This is what we're doing today, which is just that we're going to talk over how the left hand is going to hold, and 5 and 1 means pinky is 5 and thumb is 1. So it's not going to look like that. You're going to leave your fingers relaxed, but those are the fingers you're going to use. And then in the right hand, you're going to use the stuff that we've done the other days, which is the thumb, the middle finger, and the pinky. And so that's what that means by seeing 1, 3, 5. So we call our thumbs 1 in music. Or piano. I think I put the flash on somehow. I don't really need that, but okay, cool. Looks very bright. Okay, so we're going to come down onto the piano, and I'm going to show you how that's going to work. We're going to put the left like that, like the pinky and the thumb. So it's still a chord. It's just a regular chord. We're just going to leave that middle finger out. Okay? And you don't hold them up like that, like, wow. You just kind of relax. So that's that hand, and then in the other hand, oh, and I should point out, the pinky is on the C. So remember how these 2 black keys, if you go to the left of them, that's the C. So the pinky in the left hand is on the C. And then you go over to your right hand, same thing, here's the C. Don't play those, that's ugly. I mean, these aren't ugly, they make really beautiful music. This is what's called the pentatonic scale. That's another day. Don't worry about that. Well, I mean, the pentatonic scale can be anywhere, but this is an example of one. Anyway, if you come here and you go to the left of the 2 black keys and you get this C, then that's where you put those ones. And so that's a chord like we've talked about in the other days. So I'm going to have this shape in this hand. I'm going to have this shape, so no middle in this hand, but they match because they're both on a C, right? And now I'm going to flip it. Oh no, wait, I realized if I flip it, you see the piano backwards. I'm just going to put it here, and I can't really tell what you can see exactly. Oops, sorry. And hopefully it won't be backwards. I'm going to balance it out with my bird. He's going to hold it up. And this hand, I hope you can see this, is going to play that shape. This hand's going to do the every other finger. And now the new thing that we're going to add today is not only are we going to be both-handed when we do our progression, so now see how both of my hands could move down and then both of my hands could move up. And I'm just always making sure that this left hand pinky matches this right hand thumb. And then I could go, and I'll just kind of call out the letters. I think these were the letters I used in the chord progression show day. So this was a C chord. This is an A minor chord. This is a D minor chord. And this is a G chord. Now, if you're curious why I'm saying, you know, C and G, but I'm saying A minor and D minor, quick summary of a couple days ago's show was something about, you know, I give a very long explanation of major versus minor. So if you want to catch that, go back on YouTube and just, the music lesson is always the first segment of the show. So you can find it. Anyway, so now what we're going to add today, as we go through these chords, we're going to add one more element. So, because I put that on my notes, I think you can handle it. Left hand's going to hold and right hand's going to pulse. Let me show you that up close before we do anything else. So, left hand's just going to hold 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you can't remember what the names of them are and all you can remember is that this one's C, I will tell you, it does just go in alpha order. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. It goes forever. Anyway, if you can't remember the letters, you can just learn this visually. A lot of musicians are very visual. So I went down 2, now I'm going up 3. See how I'm just above where the C was? And now I'm going all the way down here. You can learn that it's just in between those 3 black keys. It's right there, but that's a G. And so I'm just cycling through that pattern, okay? Now the right hand is gonna go 1, 2, this is the new thing, 3, 4. So it's always, for all the 4 counts that this one's holding, this one's gonna play for every beat. Then it's gonna move 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the spots always match. The only difference is, oh, sorry, not flipping you off. This is a wholesome show, everyone. This middle finger is being played on the right hand and it's not being played on the left hand. Okay, so I'm going to show you that. I hope you can see it. I really don't know. Today is the test run for this, but I can't stand seeing, I was noticing on the YouTube videos, I'll flip and show you my face. On the YouTube video, oh my gosh, that light is glaring. There we go. I mean, whatever, I could leave that on. I kind of want a filter on. I was noticing on the YouTube videos that everything was, hang on, filter, cute. Okay, on the YouTube videos, I was noticing that the pianos were flipped, and it was driving me insane. So, we're not doing that anymore. So, I'm going to put this over here, and see, I'll find out today when I render these into YouTube, if you can see anything. And I'm just going to put it together. Left hand's holding, 2, 3, 4, and right hand's playing, 2, 3, 4. And then they both move to the new spot. And you can do this anywhere. It doesn't matter where you do it. Okay? But this is just something that sounds like classic pop songs. Here you go. And then you would loop it over and over again. Anyway, we'll get fancier later, but that is your music lesson for today. Ah! All right. This bird would like to take a bow. He fell over. Let's see. Here he is. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Next up is the doodle share. Doodle share. Oh, yeah, I have a theme song for the doodle share. Hang on one second. I just made these new little title card. So we got to go to the doodle chair. This is the doodle chair. All right, and this is what we're doodling today. This is a logo that I made. Let me show you. I make my own like logo shirts too. I wore it today. This is a really old one, so it's kind of crinkly, but it's just got some little swirls, little cloud. I get these made at Citizen Shirt in Grand Rapids, which is a really cool printing shop. And okay, let me get this moved over. Oh yeah, here we go. So, yeah, this little logo, I've had this logo for quite a while. This is a dirty one that was on our van. We took them off the van before we toured because we didn't want to look like musicians because we had so many magnets all over it. I mean, proud to be a musician, but didn't want to get our gear stolen. Anyway, so I realized when I tried to make this for today's doodle that I really didn't want, or that I'm really not used to. I'm sorry, I'm so distracted by, there's just random things happening on my phone today. They're just glitching. Okay, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so what I was saying is, yeah, this, I realized I don't ever draw this. I drew it one time and then I had it printed on shirts and magnets. I just don't ever draw it. But I drew it for the doodle share, and we're going to teach you how to draw a doodle. So keep in mind, this show is not meant to really be educational. It's more meant to be inspirational. So I want other people to sort of, I don't know, remember what it feels like to be somewhat childlike. I've said this in the sort of spiritual section of the show, which happens over here at the feelings chair or in the book report. But I guess I'm trying to remind people that even if you're a very serious person like I am, all my songs are very serious. I've been told that my name used to not make sense to people, Jessica in the Rainbow, but then they'd hear these really heavy songs. And so basically, I just feel like some people thought that was like a juxtaposition. Oh my gosh, I'm so distractible today, but I just noticed my pen is really bent and broken. Okay, I'm going to get a new pen for the doodle share. But, you know, I think that juxtaposition, you don't have to pick one thing. You don't have to be just serious or just goofy. People used to think that because I was very childlike, that I would want to make a kids show. I used to think I wanted to make a kids show. What I've found is that I'm not very scripted and I'm not very willing to edit out my version of reality for whatever's appropriate for different age groups. So that's why this is a kids show for adults. But it's really just a whatever show for whatever. So, all right, back to the doodle share. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. I gave it a smiley face so it'd be a little more fun. So we're going to call this Cloudy. That was my sample one. And how I draw Cloudy. But like I said, I don't really have one way that I draw this. I would have to like relearn exactly how to draw my logo. I don't really know. I'm going to run out of doodles about one more week into the show, and then I'm going to have to ask for suggestions. Okay, so I just usually start in that general area. This didn't really go very well. Maybe I'd do that if that happened. And then make a little swoop, and then I usually move into a little swirl. And then another swirl, and then another swirl. And those are kind of signifying rainbow. Somewhat, I guess. And then I would sign it, you know, because it was meant to be a t-shirt when I made it up, or whatever it was. I don't know. And then let's just give it a cute smiley face, because smiley faces make things cuter. So we'll call this one, I have no idea, Cloudle. I don't know why. All right. Yesterday I also did like a sloppy version, like a sloppy frog, but that's because I draw that frog, or I have since I was like 17. Oh, see, frog slippers. I promised I would wear these all week. All right. So yeah, that's the doodle share. I encourage you to doodle. I encourage you to put smiley faces on things. It makes you feel better. All right, here we go. Moving on. Let me go to my new little title cards. So, oh yeah, next is show and tell. Okay, let me show you the title card. I just made these title cards, so I'm pretty excited about that. Oh yeah, I had a theme song for this, didn't I? Or no, I think it was for Doodle Share. I don't remember what it was, but this is not mine. I don't own this. I'm not that childlike. It's a present for somebody. I just haven't mailed it yet. It's for you, Romy. All right, so it's time for show and tell. So show and tell, again, all of this is meant to be inspirational. I encourage you to use space time, connect with friends and family, show them things that you have, show them things that you love. After I made this show, I think it was day 2, my niece started randomly showing each other things around our house, like stuffies. Okay, so today's show and tell is this unicorn tape dispenser. And this is from my boyfriend's sister, Amanda. And she's gotten in the habit of getting me tons of unicorn things, like tons and tons of them. Always be careful what you wish for. There was a phase where I loved frogs so much, as I've said. And I think at one point, one Christmas, I think I was in my early 20s, I told people to please stop getting me frog gifts. So let it just be known. My unicorn phase is not done, but my receiving unicorn gifts phase might be done. I'm looking around the room and seeing quite a few more. I should probably save them for future show and tells. Anyway, yeah, but I love this. It, you know, kind of poops tape. Very cute. Okay, so we're gonna take Cloudy to something. Cloudle. I don't really know what. This is a show for adults. it just is. Whatever it is. Let's put that on the piano. So, you know, you don't have to grow up. I mean, you do maybe in public or when you're at your job. But aren't a lot of people working from home right now? See? So you can have fun. All right, that's the fun part of the show. Now it'll be really heavy and serious. Where's my... Oh, here we go. Next up is the book report. So the book report... just going to bring this a little closer. I wish I could, like, pause it every time I need to get readjusted. And I wish I had more interest in editing. Actually, I did try to edit these. The 4 first episodes are up on my YouTube. I tried editing. For some reason, maybe because they're live streams, my video editing software won't let me smash them together, and it won't even let me chop them up. So I feel like the universe saved me hundreds of hours of editing time, because I would have tried to make this more palatable, but like long term. I mean, for a live stream, it's what it is, because I can't like edit while I go. I mean, some people can, but I can't. So, yeah, I tried. It won't let me edit, so that is what it is. Okay, we're gonna make up a book report. That's the book report theme song. I think I made up words for it yesterday. It is time for the book report. Okay, today's book report is a classic. This is the most spiritual book that exists of all time. I lost my copy, or I haven't had it in a long time. But I found this at a thrift store. All right, we're going to read the monster at the end of this book. I swear this is not meant to be a kid's show. I just really think adults. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I wish I could describe it to you, why I think that all of these things are related to being a well-rounded adult. But I probably couldn't put it into words. Or if I could, it's going to be in the second half of the show. So for now, we will just read. This is like some classic fear literature, basically. If you are struggling with fear, Grover understands you, and so do I. Here you go. The monster at the end of this book, starring lovable furry old Grover. Hello, everybody. Written by John Stone, illustrated by Mike Smolin, a Jim Henson Muppet, Frank Oz. I'm not supposed to share this. Normally I'm just reading little snippets, but these are weird quarantine times, so I'm just going to read the whole thing, and if somebody gets mad at me, I'll delete this part from my YouTube or something. This is a very dull page. What is on the next page? What did that say? It does, Josh Hobson. Josh Hobson says, the monster at the end of this book holds valuable life lessons. Yes, that's what I feel. That's why I have all these like very serious books right here, but then I saw this sitting upstairs yesterday and I was like, that's going in the show. We are reading this together. What did that say on the first page? Oh, I have to read like Grover. Oh, it's going to be a soft Grover. On the first page, what did that say? I can't do that the whole time. Did that say there will be a monster at the end of this book? It did? Oh, I am so scared of monsters. Shh. Oh yeah, I shouldn't even show it because it's all backwards too, huh? Sorry. Listen, I have an idea. If you do not turn any pages, we will never get to the end of this book. And that is good because there is a monster at the end of this book. So please do not turn the page. I'll show you for the pictures. And if you can read backwards. You turned the page! This book used to terrify me and make me laugh so hard. Maybe you do not understand. You see, turning pages will bring us to the end of this book, and there is a monster at the end of this book. But this, all the ropes, will stop you from turning pages. See? I'm tying the pages together so you cannot. You turned another page! You do not know what you are doing to me. Now stop turning pages. Sorry, Grover. There. I, Grover, am nailing this page to the next one so that you will not be able to turn it and we will not get any closer to the monster at the end of this book. This used to make me laugh so hard because he's really trying. But also it's funny because it's paper. That's my inner monologue. Okay. All right. Do you know that every time you turn another page, you not only get us closer to the monster at the end of this book, but you make a terrible mess? Yes. Sorry, Grover. This will stop you from turning pages. A heavy, thick, solid, strong brick wall. I would just like to see you try to turn this page. Do you know that you are very strong? The next page is the end of the book, and there is a monster at the end of this book. Oh, I am so scared. Please do not turn the page. Please, please, please. Grover. Well, look at that. This is the end of the book, and there is only one here. The only one here is me. I, lovable, furry old Grover, am the monster at the end of this book. And you were so scared. The end. I told you and told you. There was nothing to be afraid of. Oh, I am so embarrassed. There you go. Valuable life lessons there. I mean, it's pretty obvious what the life lesson is. Obviously, as an adult, I have a more complex perspective. When I was a kid, the life lesson was just, don't worry. Like worrying's dumb or something, and like fear is dumb, and you know, you get to the end and there was nothing to be afraid of. But it's like, especially in today's day and age, not to make this super dark right out of the blue to prove that it's an adult show. Like, obviously there are things to be afraid of, and this is where I feel that I have a, not unique, I'm not the only person who talks about this, but I don't see a lot of people talking about this, but I feel like I have a, I don't want to say optimism, like a childlike optimism, but it's something like that. I have like a childlike, a desire to perceive things in a sort of childlike way, but not in order to be ignorant, but just because I don't see the alternative working. I don't see worry and fear and anxiety and overwhelm and yelling and talking and everybody freaking out about things. I don't see that helping anything. And I've been very inside many belief systems and circles, almost as if I've been reliving middle school and high school. I've been very inside different belief systems on these topics without even meaning to be. I'm just very influenced by the people that I'm around, by the company that I keep. And I have just really witnessed people kind of, you know, shouting from the rooftops on a lot of things. And what I have learned from, I don't want to call people out in order to get people to stop calling each other out, but I guess what I'm sort of witnessing is a sort of like a drinking of the fear Kool-Aid. Like almost like what happened culturally around 2017 when some people were very upset. It seems like people on all sides have been upset, and there's just been a lot of emotions, and it just feels like things got very elevated and it became more normal to just really express. And I do believe in expression. I express so much. But I've become a lot more conscious in the last, well, I was feeling conscious of it, and then I had a hiccup with a lot of things the last few years. But I've just become a lot more conscious of sort of when I'm expressing, I'm trying to also be conscious of the second layer of what is this putting into the world? Like not just the content, not just the concept, but also what's the underlying emotion. And yeah, a lot of, right now in society, it feels like a lot of concern is enshrouded in, even if it's coming from a place of like pure love, like if the core of it is love, if it's enshrouded in this intense fear that people on another side from you aren't listening to you, or that people are being idiots and you want to save them from it, like me turning the page, you know, then that sort of like anxious yelling, trying to get people to see your point, like then it doesn't matter if your point is pure, because the experience everyone else is having is the experience of you putting all this intensity in the world. And I'm guilty of it. I do it. I have been doing it. I keep falling back into it. Even when I notice I'm doing it, I fall back into it. And then I'm like, I'm doing that thing again. That thing where even if what I have to say is meaningful and helpful, I'm creating more problems than I'm solving. Maybe even with this show. I mean, there are a lot of wise leaders in the world, people who just sat and meditated their whole lives, and some would say that just literally opening your mouth is creating problems, because talking creates, you know, it's a ripple, and stillness and still waters are how we start to see truth. I'm sharing a lot of feelings right now, and I'm not in my feelings chair. Ta-da. Okay, I should move to my feelings chair and talk about the feelings that I had planned to talk about in the segment called, let's see if I can flip it and say it at the same time, Feeling Your Feelings. Oh, I just realized I never showed that was the book report. Okay, now we're on to Feeling Your Feelings. I think I need to change filters. While I change the filter, I'll try to tell you about, no, I can't multitask. I'm just going to let you. I think in the past I realized this one is a little weird for Feeling Your Feelings. It doesn't matter. Okay. And all I mean by that is the more distracting the filter is when I'm trying to think of things that I've never really thought before. I didn't really script it. I just, thought it through in passing. And if the filter's too distracting, it can be a little hard to do the improvised ones. Okay. I'm going to try it. That's a little too... I need my book set up. Thanks for bearing with me, this being a live show. There's really no way for me to perfectly plan every detail. I'm trying, but this is the whole reason I've never made a show before, is I'm not a very organized person with certain types of detail work. So someone very organized might have little stacks of books all over for each station. Okay, I'm going to scooch this over a hair. All right, good enough. Can't even see my unicorn. Okay. All right, so we are in the Feeling Your Feelings segment. I picked a kind of heavy one today, and I think it's a little bit related to the monster at the end of this book. Oof. Feeling all kinds of vulnerable. The first day I did one of these shows, I felt so insanely vulnerable that I don't know. Now I feel like kind of okay with it, but also kind of weird at the same time. I'm purposely doing it as a live stream instead of just as a YouTube video, partly for the cute filters, partly because I'm trying to grow in allowing all the uncomfortable feelings that come with, you know, people watching, people interacting, people coming in and going away, you know, guessing whether or not people are interested in anything I have to say. It's a very intense experience for me as a truly true introvert to be myself in front of other people. But it just feels like stuff I need to be sharing about. I don't know, at this time. We'll see. All right, feeling your feelings. We'll see, as in, like, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know if I have to do this for a long time or a short time. I'm just doing it for now. All right, feeling your feelings. Feeling your feelings. So, I picked the topic of righteous indignation. I think that counts as a feeling. You could also maybe call it feeling misunderstood. It's kind of what I was talking about a minute ago. I feel like people on so many different topics, in so many different organizations, in so many different political preferences, agendas, I don't know what you want to call it, seem to be like upset and like almost indignant. And I was trying to figure out, because some things have happened to me recently that made me realize, like, what is that feeling? It's like being triggered. And what is that feeling? And I think it's a little bit intellectual, but I think it's, at the core, it, for me, kind of comes down to feeling misunderstood. So it's a little bit know-it-allism. And I see it on all sides, this know-it-allism, and that maybe is more intellectual. But intellectual things have a feeling underneath them. And so I feel like we have to, if we want to grow, if we want to learn from each other, we have to look at what's the feeling underneath that tendency towards separation, that tendency towards attack, like wanting to attack each other. Maybe it comes down to values. Maybe it comes down to people not making sense to us. Maybe we have built ourselves and our lives around a particular set of values, and when we see people living lives that don't honor those values and in fact live out totally other values, maybe it's really disturbing, because maybe some of our values are unconscious and aren't even what we would have chosen. They're just maybe ones that we were brought up with. And so it's jarring to see that people exist in the world with different values than we have. So I'll bring it to me, and without getting too personal or too specific about something I'm still feeling kind of raw about, I will say that feeling misunderstood or having any of that righteous indignation where we want to kind of like help other people understand our point of view, if you go underneath it, feeling misunderstood can also just be like a form of like grief, like interpersonal grief, like feeling suddenly very aware, say we witness someone else not sharing our value or outright dismissing our value or dismissing who we are entirely as a person because of different values. And there's like a form of grief in that, I think, it's a realization that other people maybe don't honor anything about how you choose to live, maybe don't honor what you believe in. I go in and out of phases of acting out on that, of either ranting on Facebook, educating people, trying to tell them all, usually behind a screen, because I'm, like I said, I'm an introvert. In group settings, I often just shut my mouth and don't say anything about ways that I feel like I don't have value to people. or ways that I feel like the way I live doesn't have value to people. You know, I value time with family, time with friends. I don't value money enough, perhaps. I value connection. I value, you know, growth, but not necessarily competition. Not becoming the best at things anymore, even though maybe I did when I was young. So a lot of my values are very soft and very small. And we live in a world that seems to value things that are the best or successful or, you know, big exciting things. Going on a big fancy vacation more than just like driving around. Well, not right now, but, you know, pre-quarantine. Driving around within like an hour radius and just like writing songs in your car and, you know, playing ukulele at a park in nature. Like, these are like things that seem so small and silly, and sharing authentically. That's my word for it. It's authentic for me, but maybe for other people it's just weird and rambling. And I guess I've never really thought of that before. Like, if you just treat it like a seed and you try to go inside the seed and inside the seed and inside the seed, that righteous indignation of, I'm misunderstood. Well, the righteous indignation is the outer thing. Like, please understand me. Please understand me. Please see my point of view. Please relate to my values. Please consider my values as valuable. Well, how could someone consider your values as valuable if they have the opposite values, or if they just have such different values? Then they can't without letting go of some of their values. So it's like I've just had too big of a preoccupation with having other people validate my values. They can't validate my values unless they change their values. And the same way I don't want my values changed by others. Not only do I not want my values changed by others, unless it happens authentically, but I also don't want to be constantly talked at to get me to change my values to relate to other people's values. Like, I want to hold my values, and similarly, I need to learn to honor other people's values as important to them. So when I get into righteous indignation, that feeling, whatever that is, it's like a very triggered feeling. It dishonors somebody else's values. It says my values, which are very important to me, like borderline sacred. And it basically dishonors them. It says, look, you, however you're living, whatever you're doing that is not like me, I need you to pause it and listen to me and reconsider your entire life and change your values. Even to just say, yes, I understand you. They might need to change their values. Because similarly, I would have to do that for them. Which is why I actually spend a lot of time talking to people who are very different than me. And I have ended up fairly moderate because of it. I mean, I skew more one way than the other. You can guess which one it is. I'm a musician and I'm on the poor side of things. But, you know, I understand where systems come from. I understand where different values come from just from spending a lot of time listening to people who are not like me. So, you know, if I feel misunderstood by people with different values than me, then I should really take the time, not should, but I want to take the time to assume that they similarly feel misunderstood by me. Like, it's a mirror. We're mirroring each other. And to me, that is so much softer than the fear and the panic that the Grovers are putting out in the world, freaking out on everybody, you know, self-included, just ranting on Facebook. Like, I just did it yesterday to a friend. Like, it's different values are different values. I mean, maybe it's a savior complex. I don't know. Maybe we all have a savior complex and we all want to save each other from our own blind spots, from each other's blind spots, you know. But at the end of the day, that's just all of us yelling. And it's escalating the fear. And it's escalating the intensity. And then we get to the end of the book. And at the end of the book, it says, oh, it was just us. It was just all of us, all along. And it's like, cool. Glad we spent the whole time yelling and building pretend walls and ropes in a cartoon book. You get my point. Okay. Yeah. So that's the Feeling Your Feelings segment. I almost want to change that. I like the way that sounds, but I should almost change this to Thinking Your Feelings, because I think that that's where people get in trouble. They feel the feelings in their skin, but they don't take the time to reflect on it as much as my PTSD and anxiety and everything have forced me to. I've had a lot of trauma as an adult and a kid from different things that happened to me, and all of it sort of put me in a category or in a situation where I would either need to be on medication, which I am not against. I am very pro it for anyone that it works for. I did try it at one point in my life. In my case, it made it so I couldn't write songs. And as you have maybe noticed, I wrote like a song a day for a year. I'm kind of obsessed with writing songs, so I've just had to find lots of other ways to manage feelings and manage, I don't know, life, I guess. Speaking of which, moving on to the next segment. Oh, I wrote here, try new segment, imagination power. Well, let's try it. Why not? Let me find a filter. Okay. Here we go. New segment, imagination power. I like this one, but it's very distracting. Okay, imagination power. So all I want to say about this is, oh, did I show it? Oh, I don't have a title card for imagination power yet. Imagination power. Okay. So this new segment that may just be today is just to tell you that I used to be afraid of my imagination. So for instance, back in 2016, in the beginning of it, a lot of things had gone wrong in my life, and in the beginning of 2016, I was researching places all over the U.S., and I dreamed of moving to the Pacific Northwest, specifically the Seattle area, and then my life changed. I ended up staying in Michigan, and then I became kind of afraid of and I stayed in Michigan for love, for a very good reason, and I love my life with my significant other. But then if those thoughts of Seattle or the Pacific Northwest would crop up for various reasons, I became kind of afraid to ever explore why they would crop up. Similarly, when it was 2018, I went to visit, my sister had just moved to Colorado with her whole family, and they used to live really close to me, and now they live way in Colorado. I live in Michigan, and I was really sad, and I finally, so I booked a flight. I say that to justify the flight because I'm poor. But anyway, booked a flight and went and visited them, and of course fell in love with it. It's beautiful. And then started to imagine living there someday, and then became afraid of that. And it made me realize I think a lot of people are afraid of their imaginations. Rather than seeing it as a gift. It doesn't have to signify anything. It doesn't have to signify that if you've imagined it, that now you have to go there. So I finally started moving onward. Whoops. Sorry. So I finally started reimagining, what if I moved to Seattle? And I started imagining taking a trip there, an exploratory trip there. I started talking with people and just doing some research. And that felt sacrilegious to my life. That's a wrong word, but you know what I mean. But it, it helped me kind of think through some things, how difficult it would be to completely uproot, how much stuff I had in the house. So it's a superpower, imagination, in times of, I wrote, it's a superpower, oh yeah, that's going to be backwards. It's a superpower in times of stress, and it's a wisdom tool in times of indecision. So, if you are unsure about something, imagining it through from the beginning all the way through to the end, just the same way you would if you're a kid, which is related to the segments on presence that I've been talking about. It's not the same as presence, because presence, you're getting present. You're not imagining a future. But imagining a future is similar to presence in the sense that I don't have to leave this now in order to play out an entire reality that involves me going off and becoming a college professor or living in the Pacific Northwest and starting over my music career there. I'm getting older now, which is partly time keeps moving, so it's kind of intense and overwhelming. But so why not, rather than just take a leap, why not really, really allow yourself to think it through, which is sort of like saying really allow yourself to dream it through or imagine it through. And I think this is something that kids are really good at that adults kind of lose touch with. So that's why I wanted to do a segment called Imagination Power. So for today, I just think I wanted to announce it rather than like act it out. But yeah, last thing I'll say, it says that you can play out whole scenarios or lifetimes in your mind. So you can like, you know, I think what adults really want is permission to dream. Like, we don't want to feel blocked in our dreaming. And a lot of the ways that we feel blocked are really ways that we block ourselves from thinking things through. It does involve a lot of humility, though. Like, I feel like 6 times already today I've already said ways that I suck, you know. But I don't say that to be hard on myself. It's just to kind of keep myself from, I don't know. Keep myself from thinking that just because something feels true to me, that it's necessarily capital T truth, you know? Because things kind of evolve and unfold and progress however they progress. Hang on. Sorry, I got distracted by the 3rd time of that falling on the floor. It means it's time to... Here we go. 2. I just like this rainbow on my head, but I hate this. It's supposed to make up on my face. We're just going to get really present. I'm still in my feelings chair.